Welcome to another Pioneer Valley Life show. I'm here with my good friend Richard Richardson. We were here a few weeks ago and talked about the Three Sisters Sanctuary in general. We're up here in Goshen. It's a beautiful day in Goshen. Bright blue sky, nature at its best. And I'm going to be talking today with Richard about his project, his most recent project, his newest project, but also his last project here on the property of the Three Sisters Sanctuary in Goshen. It's called The Circle of Life. And we'll be talking to Richard because, in a sense, he and I are both of an age where the circle of life makes a lot of sense. And, him being an artist, an environmental artist, he has this tremendous canvas to work with to put his creation out there. But I want to talk to him and try to get him to explain a little bit about how the artist mind works. He's here as the owner, but as the artist who has put this all together, that's a different outlook. And so that's why I thought we'd come back for a second visit. So Richard, it's great to be here again. Great to see you.
Nice to see you again, James.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah. I think I'd like to say that the times I've visited here over the years, it's really turned into a spectacular place. And I know you feel as though you were blessed to come to this piece of property. But I think Mother Nature should feel blessed as well to have you as its curator. And you've done a marvelous job that when the visitors come here and they wander around and they just look and see what you've created, it's awe-inspiring, and it's something you should be very proud of.
I am proud of it. I'm very, very proud of it. Thank you for your kind words. You mentioned the mind of an artist. It's kind of like a two-sided coin. The mind of an artist is hard to figure out. They have visions that they are willing to put a great deal of time into to watch it turn into reality, which is the wonderful part about being an artist, is taking your concepts and then allowing them to move forward. In my case, the gift that Jim mentioned is Mother Nature, and the fact that I connect so deeply as an environmental artist with nature and with what it brings to the table. As this weekend we just moved and planted 29 trees. That's a lot of trees. And I have over the years planted over 300 trees. So, nature's very good to me. To even think I can say to you, I planted 300 trees. Mm-hmm. 300 trees. And they survived. They're here. They're healthy. They're happy.
Yeah.
And they are what I thought they should be. Some are meant to be 18 feet tall, and some are meant to be 24 feet tall. Some are meant to be 6 feet in diameter. Some of them get to be 9 inches in diameter. 9 feet in diameter, I don't mean inches. And it amazes me. I mean, I look around and with great pride, I look at the trees, and they're meant to be sculpturing. I mean, that is what, some of it is privacy, as unfortunately Route 112 lives on the other side here. So blocking out Route 112 is very important, and the noise factor. But as I did this, in my mind's eye, I had a vision of a Britannica encyclopedia. That's what I grew up with. You and I are we didn't have computers. We couldn't type in trees, what they look like. That encyclopedia brought me to Rome. Mm-hmm. Rome.
Yeah.
Way back in the day, and I saw they used trees, and I was like, oh my God, that's it. There's the answer, how they did it. I'm just gonna follow their patterns. And not that I copied anything, but I went with the flow of what I saw and how it worked. And it really worked here and worked really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mother Nature is my partner in all of this project in its entirety.
It's interesting. Not many artists get to work on a canvas for 50 years.
No, true, true. Again, one of my gifts in my life has been the land of Goshen and buying this piece of property in 1976 and it being something that was a blank canvas. The whole piece of property truly was a blank canvas, including the house. So it gave me the freedom of getting started. The first 20 years, naturally, I spent doing what everybody does. You know, I had children, I had a business I was running, I had a house that had to be built. You know, life was pretty consuming. When that was finished, I came out here only to discover that this was a blank canvas. Again, you know, there it was waiting for me all over again. And when I spent the first 20 years finishing the house, it brought out in me that I enjoyed projects, that I wasn't afraid to take on things that I didn't know anything about. It brought out the sense of my ability to design things. I didn't know that was in me. You know, why would I know it's in me? I never owned a house before. And luckily for me, the only house I've ever owned is this house. So the amount of energy I've been willing to put into the whole piece of property, whether it's the house or the sanctuary, has been endless, because I knew right from the beginning I would never sell it. I was never going to sell this piece of property. And it made it all possible to say you could be this committed to something that you're going to do.
Right.
And I have had nothing but pure pleasure and rewards of building something that I really have enjoyed and have a purpose for.
Right. It's interesting you just used the word endless, but essentially there is an end for all of us, but even for this piece of property in the sanctuary. And that's why we're here today to talk about the circle of life behind us here, because that is the kind of the culmination of your dreams, in a sense, don't you think?
The circle of life truly depicts our lives, and the fact that you know, you think about it, you know, and I have given it a lot of thought, you know. And so the circle of life for me allowed me to start with conception, to start with, you know, conception, the beginning, you know, what's that about, you know, like, how does that work, you know? And being the father of 4 children, I would say that at least I know how the growth works. I'm not sure about how the rest of it works. But what I do know for sure is during conception, these are 9 months that really you're by yourself. You might be in your mother's womb, but you're living by yourself in those 9 months as you're going through growth and learning things. And so what that made me think about was the fact that we enter into this world by ourselves. And then it came to the end of that, of thinking about the end of life, you know, the exit of life, you know. And I was really, I think as all of us would be, you know, like feeling like, whoa, what's that? You know, like, I mean, what's gonna be that, you know? And yet we all know it's coming. It's just gonna come. It has no choice. So when I battled with exit of life, and I really struggled with it for a number of years about how to make that work, only then to realize that the exit of life is really the twin to the beginning of life. They're twins, they're just not identical twins.
Right.
They're just not identical, but they are twins. You come into this world by yourself, and you exit this world by yourself. This is inevitably how it's going to work. So once I came to grips with Exeter life, it allowed me really to allow myself to really wrap my head around all of it and start to build it.
Yeah. And once again, you have incorporated the stones that you found here on this property.
Yes, yes, yes. I own a stone dump. Not many people can say they own a stone dump, but I own a stone dump. And what that means is in 1964, when they built the highway, the state came in and filled in 4 acres of land with the stone that they blew out of the highway.
Right.
And because they were just filling in the land, they were not crushing the stone. They were just dumping the stone here. So, you know, for them, this was the dump site. For me, it was a wealth of material.
Right, right. So there are specific pieces in the circle of life
Yes.
that probably designate certain phases in the circle of life. You talked
Absolutely.
about conception and the end of life, but what else is contained within the circle of life?
Well, okay, you opened up that can of worms, and we're going to go there. It starts with conception, and next to conception is the graveyard of our ancestors. And I thought about this, and I felt that being that conception is the beginning of life, the beginning of it all, it almost, again, brings to light your ancestors and the ones that have already left us, that were our family members. And I believe that during those 9 months that our ancestors stay with us spiritually for that 9 months. And now, interestingly enough, as conception turns into the beginning of life, our ancestors slip away. And for the first time, so do our memories. They're gone. We don't remember our ancestors. They have left, and our memories, after a very short amount of time, forget that they existed. As you are now, go from the beginning of life to childhood. And so as I built this circle of life, naturally, I included childhood, which is 20 feet, done in a circle. That also encompasses what I call the path of life. Some of us walk the circle of life, some of us follow a path at different points. But the beginning of childhood is where you're completely taken care of, in theory. I wish I could say that's true, but at least in my case, my mother and my father made sure that my needs were taken care of as best as they could. So childhood is a very wonderful time. And when we installed the gardens in childhood, I told the gardeners, I said, everybody, take your time. I really want you to take your time, you know, like, enjoy childhood. It's the one time that you can really be free, you know, just allow yourself the freedom and go back to it, you know, enjoy childhood. No rush. I said, no rush. So anyway, 2 weeks later, the gardens are done, okay, in childhood.
Yeah.
And so with everybody, there's childhood, there's adolescence, there's adulthood, and then naturally the exit of life and the portal to the unknown. Whoa. Anyway, the one that we're now discussing is we finish the first part of it. We finish the gardens that go into the beginning, into childhood, and we hit adolescence. And when we hit adolescence, I look at the gardeners and I go, hey, what do you think? And what they're looking at in front of them are blank canvases again. Remember, these were gardens that had not been planted yet. So they're just looking at dirt and stones, and then naturally the path of life that intermingles with it. So I say, are you ready for adolescence? And interestingly enough, One looks at me and she does this. Watch. Nah, wasn't a great time in my life. I don't know. No, adolescence was nothing that I really want to go and experience again. I'm like, okay. And the other one goes, I loved it. It was a great time. And I said, the yin and the yang in this conversation is taking place. So, see you ladies late. See you ladies. Go home. And they do. And they come back the next week. And the next week when they come back, I thought about this, you know. And I thought about adolescence. And I thought about my adolescence.
Yeah.
And I thought, boy, if somebody asked me to return to that, I don't think I would want to do it. I really don't. But yet the ladies have no choice. They have to go to adolescence. I cannot avoid adolescence. I cannot avoid adulthood. These are all part of this installation.
Yeah.
So I say to the ladies, follow me. And they follow me, and I take them to the end of adolescence, where adolescence is meeting adulthood. And we stand back and we look at that blank canvas and take a guess what they don't see. Childhood.
Yeah.
It's a circle. It's 80 feet long.
Yeah.
You're 40 feet out now.
Now, yeah.
And as you look around the corner, it disappears.
Right.
Take a guess what else starts to happen.
Yeah, you start to age.
Your memories start to disappear.
Ooh, yeah.
For the second time in your life,
Yeah.
childhood starts to disappear.
Yeah.
Because you can't see it anymore.
Right.
And you got to work your way back. And I said to the ladies, you're going to go in reverse. You're going to go in reverse. You're going to build adolescence from the end going forward. And the reason I'm asking you to do this, and there was a real straightforward reason, which is one, so that you don't need to experience it the way you would if you started in the beginning. Because you're starting at the end as an adult. I'm saying you navigate around.
Yeah.
Avoid the nonsense. Leave any negativity out of this environment in its entirety. Build it no differently than you built childhood. Mind you, with the same plants and everything, but it's all feeling new.
Yeah.
It's all feeling fresh. Too fresh, because remember, your memories are slipping away. So, 2 weeks later, we're there.
Right.
Adolescence is done. Major. So we've now in 1 month finished
conception,
childhood, and we finished conception. Well, we didn't really, never mind on that. But anyway, we finished childhood, and now we have finished adolescence. And I look at the ladies one more time and I say, you're going to the end of adolescence and working back.
Yeah, the end of adulthood and working back.
End of adulthood and working back. Correct. I'm sorry. The end of adulthood and going back to adolescence. One more time, they stand there and they look at a blank canvas. Blank canvas. This is the third time I've introduced a blank canvas using the same plants over and over and over. Boom. What happens next, which is the wonderful part of this story, all of the story is good, but this is the wonderful part of the story, is that we were reaching out for volunteers. And this one day we had 4 volunteers. Take a guess how old they were. You're looking at them.
Yeah.
They were all retired women who showed up for them. 4, including the 2 gardeners. So we had 6 people starting adulthood. And at the end of that day, they had completed 2/3 of adulthood.
Yeah.
Something that took us almost a full week and a half, they got done in one day.
Yeah.
We have four wonderful volunteers that came yesterday. And we started at the end here, which is...
Yeah, this was all blank yesterday.
Yeah, the
Nothing.
blank canvas
Just
that we had
stone,
yesterday. And we started at the end of adulthood, the end of maturity, and it was really beautiful. We got ushered in with all this help from some elder women who really created this container for us to fill in and continue back through adolescence and childhood with a lot more maturity than we had before.
At the end of the day, everybody gave each other a hug and said how nice it was to work together and collaborate.
You never know what the day's gonna bring. I mean, we're kind of doing the same thing in each segmented part, but each day is different, like the weather, whether we have volunteers, whether we're focusing on filling in the middle of the path, or whichever part of the gardens that we're taking from kind of dictates where we're putting everything. So
I can't tell you how much I enjoyed having the
Yeah,
volunteers.
yeah.
How important the volunteers were.
Right.
That they brought knowledge to it. That they brought maturity to this. And how much they enjoyed them. It gives me goosebumps now as I remember how rewarded I was to hear that.
This is like, what an honor to get to be a part of this project. Who in their lifetime gets to experience lifetime through this therapeutic lens of planting and transplanting? And I don't really have a lot of words for it. It was really, really remarkable.
Adolescence does come to an end. It's right here. And what I would like to point out to you right now is when you look back, childhood is gone. You just can't see childhood anymore, as you are now standing at the beginning of adulthood, right here where we're standing. This is the beginning of adulthood. Again, this interior section is all done with a beautiful, beautiful ground phlox. As we continue to come up, you are now into adulthood, right now. And once more, I had my gardeners start in reverse, all the way up at the end, and work their way back to adolescence. As you can see, it's already starting to disappear. Little by little, decade by decade, the past slips away. And this piece depicts your lifetime as you are exploring it, as you are living it, but living it and experiencing it with the best of the gift that we're given in this lifetime. It's so, I mean, look at this. It's so, so beautiful.
Well, it'll be interesting because each person that comes through the circle of life is going to have a different experience.
Yes, correct.
And that's great. You know, that's that's one, the uniqueness of it, the uniqueness of lives, our lives, whatever. I might walk through and say, oh, got to run through here, but I'll slow down here. Then I got to pick up speed again. And,
yes.
And other people, so that's what's interesting in that, you've created something that can be a uniquely individual experience. Whereas probably in other parts of the sanctuary, there, it might not be as individualized as it will be here.
I'm not sure on that one that I agree with you on that, because I feel like every piece that I built had the same intensity as this and the same amount of thought about how you might incur it. I really was very conscious about how I wanted you to emotionally feel when I brought you into the theater in the round, when I brought you into the butterfly garden. Each and every one of those spaces were pretty well thought out, very similarly to this. Yes.
So now that you have kind of, well, I don't know if it's not totally finished yet, but when it's finished, it'll be finished. This is your finished Three Sisters Sanctuary. And maybe at some point in the past, you never visualized that actually happening. In some sense, in your life and in your thing, it's your memorial.
Yes, it is.
And it's part of it. It's like, you'll be here. You know, Richard Richardson will always be here,
Yes.
no matter who else may be the owner or curator or whatever of the Three Sisters Sanctuary. Richard Richardson will always be here because you created it, but also on another level, several different levels, you're going to be here.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll just say I'm concerned about preserving it, and anybody out there, and,
Right.
and I mentioned this in the last show we did.
Yeah.
Anybody have any ideas? Anybody have any concerns about how to preserve this sanctuary in the future? Please take time and reach out to us. I
Yeah,
appreciate that
Yeah.
moment that you allowed me to say that.
Right. Yeah, because it could be a trust. It could be
Yes, correct.
some state,
Correct.
you know,
Non-profit.
nonprofit, whatever,
Right,
that
right,
feels
right.
as though they would have something to gain by supporting the Three
Yes.
Sisters Sanctuary
Correct.
and making sure that it stays for future generations
Yes.
as long as we might be here as human beings.
Yes, I hope so. I
Yeah.
hope so.
I'm James Sullivan. This is an episode of Pioneer Valley Life. Usually we're in the studios at East Hampton's E-Media, but today we're at the Three Sisters Sanctuary in Goshen, Massachusetts. And I'm here with my good friend, Richard Richardson, who is the owner, curator, environmental artist, spirit, all sorts of things about the Three Sisters Sanctuary.